Oh man, I need some sleep.
Hello and welcome to the Laptop Empire Show. I'm your host, Bobby Hoyt, and I've got my very, very tired co-host, Mike Yonda. And actually, this is kind of funny because usually it's the total other. There are probably people that are listening to this like, what the heck is going on right now? But basically what happened is that Mike is really freaking tired, and I'm not. And the reason that he's tired and the reason I'm not is because he has children and I don't have children. So it's a big difference. And it is Cooper last night had an accident. Sorry, Cooper. 20 years from now is going to be
While airing out his dirty laundry on air.
literal dirt. So anyway, we haven't done an episode about kids in a while, and I think one of the cool things for me, I've been able to watch you build multiple businesses at this point from home with multiple children, and I know that there's a lot of people in our audience that since the last time we did a kid episode, there are probably a lot of people in our audience that have had kids or their kids are older. And we just have an audience that is like at that age where everybody has kids. So we're going to talk about children, how to grow the businesses while you grow the children, and learn things.
So how to build a home-based business as a parent is kind of the theme today. So this will be fun. I've just as a little background, I've done 3 businesses that I built from home. So started my first one, the online fitness business, in law school. Built that one with no kids, but I was in law school, and that was brutal. And then, and then the agency's been going since before Cooper was born. So over 4 years now. I can't remember the exact date, but I've been doing marketing work since sometime back in 2013. It's 2019. So, geez. So it's probably coming up on 6 years I've been doing marketing work, but as a business, it's been about 5. So yeah, I've been doing this as a stay-at-home dad and, every single day since I know when Cooper was first born, I was working as an attorney from home and had the fitness business and had the agency, the very beginnings of it when it was just me, and had Cooper. Then I quickly started removing one thing at a time until it was just the agency, and being home with Cooper. And now it's 2 kids, 2 businesses. So it's fun. I'm curious to see, because you said you're basically interviewing me. So I'm curious to see where this goes. This is totally, I have no idea what's about to happen.
Okay. So yeah, first question. I've got a list of random questions in my head. And it's funny too, because yesterday when we recorded, I was dead tired yesterday, and today it's the total opposite. Like I have way too much energy, and I'm drinking coffee, so I'm pretty fired up right now.
I didn't notice you being that tired yesterday, but I'll take your word for it.
It was bad. It was bad yesterday. But anyway, my first question, because I see this one all the time, just like in our Laptop Empires community, or just people that are maybe interested in taking one of our courses or just Millennial Money Man readers. Is it actually possible for I don't want to say average or normal, because I think that's like a slight, taken as a slight sometimes, but like as for a parent with 1 or multiple kids at home, is it really possible for somebody to start an online business, or are you just a crazy person?
Well, you got to be a little crazy to do it. No, it's totally possible. I mean, I'm not special or anything. I don't have any characteristic that other people don't, that I know of. You have to decide to do it, and you have to there's definitely some sacrifices that you have to make to do it. A good example, I'm not a big TV person. I don't, my wife comes home from work and, we have dinner and everything, and she sits on the couch and watches all kinds of stuff, and that's not how I am. So, that frees up some time to work. You just give up an hour of Netflix every night. You got to work in weird times. There's times where I work before everybody wakes up. There's times when I work, when the kids are napping, actually all the time, when everybody goes to bed. I mean, and you don't have to do that every day, but you have to be willing to kind of work at weird times and weird hours. And then you just got to be smart about it. I think parents almost have an advantage setting up an online business, because parents realize they don't have time. So they're going to make decisions that are very time efficient. And it's funny because being in this world for as long as I have, and being in entrepreneur communities, people are starting online business owners or side hustles. They waste a lot of time on really dumb shit. Like they just do things they don't need to do, or they worry about things that don't matter, or they try to do too much. You don't have time for that as a parent. So and that doesn't matter if you're a stay-at-home parent or you're a working parent, like you don't have time for that. So you do only the high value activities that are going to make you money, and you don't do anything else. And that's the hardest thing to do in business, and being a parent kind of forces you to do that. I became a very efficient person, and I think when I started this journey, that was not me, but it's just my situation forced me into becoming that person. So yeah, you gotta be a little crazy to do it, sure, but you can do it. You can do it. It's just like weight loss. It's gonna be my last comment on it right now. Like I'm out of shape right now, and I haven't really been making time to exercise or eat very well. I'm not doing the greatest at getting back in shape, but that's on me. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, but the fact is, like, I'm not making time for it. Like I want to do that. I want to get in better shape. I don't want it bad enough that, I was going to pass on a bowl of cereal last night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and so I think it's the same thing with a business. You might be like, man, it'd be really nice to have a side hustle, make an extra $2,000 a month, to make an extra $5,000 a month to replace my income. Yeah. But how bad you want it is really, demonstrated by the sacrifices you'll make and your actions. So it's the same thing. You just depends on if you want it or not.
Yeah, it's interesting for me, like just because obviously like Coral and I don't have kids yet. When I talk to people that want to be successful, but they're not like putting the work in, I get the well, I don't have time thing a lot. Like I get that kind of like excuse, but I also, it's like people say it to me as a way to like, it's like, well, you don't have kids. Like I don't have as much time as you to grow an online business, which actually part of that I agree with. Cause like, yeah, I don't have kids. So I do have a little bit more time, but then I see how hard you work and like everything that you do in multiple businesses. Like, how does it make you feel? Cause I know how it makes me feel. How does it make you feel when people say they just don't have time? Like they're like, I don't have time to do X, Y, and Z.
I'm just done. I'm done with them. Like, I mean, because it's like I just said, it's a load of crap. It doesn't matter what it is that you want to do. Like if you want to build a business, you want to lose weight, you want to learn how to play an instrument. If you don't have time for it, you don't actually want it. Right? Because there's so many things that we do. If you did an audit of your life and you looked at the things that you spent time on, there's something that you could, cut from your life.
Out. Right. Yeah.
There's always something. But, like I said, I built my first business when I was in law school. Law school consumes your life. If there's going to be somebody on here, that's watching or listening or whatever, it's a lawyer. And they're like, yep. Like that was a dumb move on my part to try and start a business when I was in law school. It was insane. If you're a parent, you've got all kinds of stuff going on. And I mean, it depends on the age. Like if their kids are my age, you're changing diapers, you need to feed them. My oldest, I swear he's asking me why about everything. He's asking me questions about everything every second of the day. When they get a little older, you're taking them to t-ball or swimming lessons or whatever. You're constantly, taking them to school functions and taking them around everywhere. Like there's going to be stuff, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, whether you have kids or not, you're always going to be busy. There's always going to be something and that's our nature too, is that we're always going to fill up our time and become busy because just in the way our society is right now and having, cell phones and things, like we can't have downtime. Like that's not how we're wired. That's why I'm so excited to go move into the hill country because I just want to like sit on my porch and have downtime,
Right.
But we don't do that as people. So you're filling your schedule with stuff and some of it is legitimate and you got to take care of it. Your kids, you got to feed them, stuff like that. But then there's other things. There's Netflix, whatever.
Right.
I've been watching a show, like one episode a night of this show for the last week or so, just to stay sane. But if I needed to do more, I could cut that out. That's an extra hour, right? I felt like I needed it to unplug because I was working a little harder than normal lately. So I hate that. Like when people tell me they don't have time, I'm like, cool, then, you're you're not going to be successful. Like you're not making the time. You're not going to be able to do this. More for the rest of us. That's less competition. So, just anytime you say, I don't have time for that, like that should be like set off an alarm in your mind that you go, oh, okay, I really don't want to do this, or I'm not really trying. Because that's that. I don't have pity for that. And there's probably going to be somebody that's going to leave a comment about all the reasons that they don't have time. I promise I will block you because I don't care what your excuses are. Like they're excuses.
Right. Yeah. That's what I actually, when people say that to me, I feel sorry for them. Like I feel sad because I'm like, oh man, that's the story they're telling themselves to make themselves feel better about not doing whatever it is that they want to do.
That was less saltier than Tired Mike's answer.
No, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's true. I used to be mad about it. Now I've gotten hit with it. So I've been hit with it so many times by so many people that I'm like, if you would just stop telling yourself that, you would go get a lot of stuff done and make more money. But moving on to the kids. So the last time we talked about this, it was about a year ago. So your youngest, at the time when we were doing this, he was like still immobile. Like he was he was like crawling around a little bit. So he's up and he's moving and he's toddler now.
In everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the difference now that you've got Cooper, he's 3 years old. You got Mason. He's like, what is he?
He's about 20 months.
Okay. Yeah. So he's a year and a half. So what has changed for you? Like, has anything changed in your day-to-day schedule now that both of them are up and doing things?
Well, Mason has figured out just in the last couple of days, like he figured out earlier this week we have like our kitchen tables, like so we have like these tall bar style chairs and he can crawl up them, which is terrifying because he can also fall off one and crack his head open on the tile. And then yesterday he figured out how to take this footstool from our dining room, like a chair in our dining room, and he carries it all the way to the kitchen and he's trying to like get things off the counter, like cups and stuff. So he was making a whole mess yesterday. So he's like literally climbing on countertops and things. Like it's just insane. But yeah, I mean, the big thing, I don't know. It's always such a blur. Like, it's definitely easier when you set him on the ground and he can't go anywhere. He's just like a rock,
Right.
And now he runs everywhere. When Cooper was in school, it wasn't too big a deal because the little one's real sweet. When he's by himself, at least. And then but with Cooper around, the little one's an instigator. And so it's like when they're both awake, if you're not playing with them, they're fighting. They're at each other's throats and, they're just doing little boy things. They're wrestling. The little one, thinks that he can fight the 4-year-old, but he's a year and a half, and so within 30 seconds, he's getting pushed and he's banging his head on the carpet or something. And then he's crying. Right. So there's a lot of like breaking up fights and, like I said, I work when he's napping. I work before they wake up. And then, I take my chances every now and then when they're both awake, but I spend a good part of my day just entertaining them.
So this is something I've seen you do a lot. Maybe you don't realize that you do it, or maybe you do. I don't know. You're pretty good at you're working and then Cooper will come up and he wants your attention. And I feel like sometimes you'll stop what you're doing and you'll focus your attention on him. And sometimes you'll be like, all right, bro, chill out. Like, do you have kind of like a theory on, maybe you don't, I don't know, this might be a dumb question, but do you have a kind of a way that you approach that when your kids want attention from you, but you're trying to get stuff done? Is it like an always like, do you just stop working, or what do you, if other parents are wondering, like, how do I balance that, giving my kids attention versus working? What do you tell your kids?
Man, it is tough, and parents will relate to this. Like, it just depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm way more patient than other times. That's just the truth of it. So I think it depends on what I'm doing too. If I'm, this from working with me, like if I'm in the middle of a thought, I have to focus. Like if I'm trying to type something, like I can't stop what I'm doing or I will lose my thought. So if he comes up and I'm trying to type an email or something, I will as fast as possible, try to finish at least that sentence or finish the email, because if not, I'll forget. But if it's like, if you and I are having a conversation or something, or I'm talking to somebody, generally, depending on what he needs, like I might just take one of the kids and just throw him in my lap and just keep talking and just
Right.
like, go around. And I just don't, there's that video. You remember that video? The guy was doing an interview and his kid came in, and like the mom or the nanny or whatever, like came in, like grabbed the kids, and she's like ducking down and pulling them out. And like, it was this big deal. And like, that is not how it would have gone down if it was me. And you've seen this before. Like somebody barges in, I'm going to be like, hey buddy. And I'm going to like pick him up and throw him in my lap. And then I'm going to continue exactly where I left off. It's just, that's part of my life. My clients know that. Our students know that. But yeah, I mean, it just depends, man. Like sometimes like it's tough, sometimes I'm just like, I need a minute. Like I feel like I say that a lot. Cooper, I need a minute. Just give me 1 minute to finish this, and then I'll go play with you and do whatever. But he, his response is always, but I want you to do it now, but I want you to do it now, and it's just like this back and forth. And so I probably stop more often than not, just because there's no winning a fight with a 4-year-old. But it's tough because you deal with this. This is the thing, right? Like there's always some guilt, like if I'm like, hey, go away, I'm working on something, then I feel bad. Like especially how I am. I'm very hard on myself. So I feel very guilty about doing that. I'm like, man, I'm a crappy parent because I'm basically telling my kid that work's more important to them. And that's not true. But, then the other side of me, if I'm like, put it down every single time he wants to do something, I'm like, okay, letting this kid have his way every time. It's just, and that's parenting though. It's this constant tug of war where you're like, am I spoiling them? Am I not giving them enough attention? Am I, am I giving discipline, or am I just being mean? Like it is, it's a thing. So you just got to do what feels natural. And I think what I've found is the best way for me to handle it has been the times you can tell there's times your kids really need attention. And I try to stop what I'm doing and go give them attention. Like if they're like asking you to play, then I'm going to go play with them. If, he can play on his own, I'm going to sit at the table and I'm going to work, And so you just got to kind of notice those kind of things. And it's a little different. That's a dynamic as a stay-at-home parent. If you're a working parent, work on your lunch hour, work when you get, maybe stay an extra hour at the office and work before you go home.
Yeah.
I like to work once the kids go to bed at night, or sometimes when my wife will come home, I'll get dinner and everything, and we'll all spend time together, and then I'll go work for an hour, before the kids go to bed. But you just got to find those times that work for you.
Yeah. So that's a great answer. I'm curious though, to go back to the BBC thing where the guy was like, the kid comes in and all that. Like the guy, the whole time he's just apologizing. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I hated that. Yeah, and I get that. I see that from parents all the time. And actually, I was talking to one of my assistants the other day, and she kept apologizing for her kids in the background. And my thought was like, I don't care. But I think parents a lot of the time feel embarrassed when their kids are present, just even present, like in a business situation when they're dealing with a client or whatever. How did you've always had this mindset since I've known you, where you're just like, well, screw it. Like, I'm not going to do business with this person if they don't like my kids. How did you, is that something you just like naturally had, or did you learn that somewhere?
Probably a combination. I think one part is that I'm one of those people that I'm like, I legitimately do not care what you think about me. Like people say that all the time, and I can't remember. There's like some movie, it might be like Mean Girls or something. It's got what's that? Rachel McAdams, and they're like, I don't care. And she's like, oh, but you do. Like, and I think that's like really common. People are like, I don't care what people think about me. And yet they really, really care what people think about them. I don't. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, this is my life. This is who I am. And so I think I'm just like, you either like me or you don't. And that's fine. And I've also learned that through business. Like, people are going to like you or they're not. And if you work with people that don't like how you are, then it sucks, And I don't want to work with people that I don't like. And I don't want people that don't like me so I'm just like, try to be as open about it as possible. Like, this is who I am. And I think, there's times, where something will happen. Like if it gets really loud on the phone, like I'm talking to somebody and then the kids get really loud, or I have to stop and talk to one of them, I'll just be like, hey, sorry about that,
Right.
But I'm not apologizing about my kids being present. I'm apologizing about that particular interruption. I don't think that you should have to apologize, for the kids. This is not going into a boardroom in a suit. This is sitting, recording, a video or a podcast, or taking a sales call in your pajamas. It's a little different, this is an online business. And so, for me, it's just, this is my life. This is what I have to do to make a living because of the choices my wife and I made about how we're going to raise our kids. And, the people on the other line, they can either get on board with it or not, and I think, and a lot of people, they know my reputation and they would rather work with me and get results than work somebody that's not going to get them results that doesn't have kids running around. Like it is what, it is what it is. So I don't know if that answers totally well, but I think if you have parents, like, just own it, right? Like if you've got a weird, quirky personality, own it. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Just do you, and you're going to attract the right people. And here's the deal. Like, I honestly think that I build better connections with my clients and people stay with me longer and people like me better because of the kids. Because 9 times out of 10, the first contact I have with them is a sales call, and my kids are running around in the background, and they either have kids and can relate, or they think it's cool or whatever. And they just, they connect, like somehow you connect because of that. So I feel like it's been more of a benefit than a negative.
Yeah. Now there was a quote that I saw the other day. I think it was a Gary Vee quote. It probably was, because I get hit with his content like, 20 times a day, but it was like perfection. They were talking about videos and like, trying to make everything perfect in your videos and trying to make everything perfect in your business and all of that stuff. Like from an optic standpoint, like perfection is just masking insecurity. And I thought that was really interesting.
It also slows you the hell down.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can't implement quickly. So last question, and I think this is going to be a hard one for you to answer. Maybe, I don't know. How does Mike Yonda unplug? How does he relax? You got the kids, you got multiple businesses, you're on all day, you're on from the start, you wake up until you go to night. How do you relax?
It's funny. I said earlier I wasn't a TV person, and lately I've been like watching like an HBO show or something before I go to bed. I've been watching the show Deadwood recently. So I'll just like watch an episode of that. I'm more of a book person, but it comes and goes in waves. So like I'll go to where, like, I have not read like really anything this month, but the month prior I probably read like 4 or 5 books. So I go through kind of phases. So I'd say stuff like that. Back when I was actually working out, that was a nice stress reliever. I started guitar lessons this year as a way to like give me something to unplug and a hobby basically. I think you just find something, but I would say that the route I went is I kind of put all of my hobbies and stuff aside to build the business. And then I've started to like add things back in over time. And that's worked really well. So that whole concept of like not having time, like, I found the time, got things where I wanted it to be. And then I started giving that time back to myself. But I don't know. I mean, that was kind of like what do I personally do? But I think the reality is like for you got to do whatever it is, for you. I mean, I have all kinds of opportunities to unplug, playing with the kids, making dinner. Like I cook a lot. Like that's great for me. I'll put my headphones in, I'll listen to some sports radio, grill some steaks, whatever. And, have a glass of wine. That's an hour of me not having the kids, where I'm doing stuff, that's like my time. So,
right.
I think it's just finding, whatever. So even like grocery shopping, like I love to go to the grocery store because same thing, I can listen to sports radio on my headphones. I can go do a mindless task and there's no kids, you know, yanking on my shorts, you know, trying to get my attention. So, you know, it's just, you find things, whatever it is for you. For me, it's usually listen to sports radio and have people leave me alone. That's usually the general theme.
Any last advice for parents that are looking to start a business or?
No, I think just, we've said this in other times, but like, I truly believe everybody should start an online business. And I mean that because everybody should start one. You should try to start a side hustle. Not everybody is cut out to be a business owner.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. So everyone should try it because it's an incredible opportunity that's never been this available before at any time in history. But if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't work for you, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I'm not one of those entrepreneurs that's going to like shame people that work a 9 to 5. There's a lot of great things about a 9 to 5, you know?
Right.
So yeah, just everybody, I feel like everybody should give it a shot. And honestly, if you're listening to this, like, just get over your excuses because we all have them. We all have them. You know, I wanted to go to bed instead of recording this.
We almost did.
Yeah. So but you got to get stuff done. And it was just like, we sat down and we're like, okay, what do we have tomorrow? You know, I'm getting ready to go on vacation. So it was like, what do we have to do? You know,
right.
And it was like, okay, we can't do it. This is our only opportunity. We just got to do it. We got to do it, you know? And I told you, I was like, I don't want to record. I just want to take a break for a couple of weeks. And then I was like, we can't do that. We got to do it. We got to keep going. We got to be consistent. I like had the conversation with myself without any input from you. I
came back, I think, from getting coffee, and you looked like you were asleep at the desk in front of the microphone. You had your eyes closed and everything.
All right, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed getting a sneak peek at what it's like to build a business as a parent. Bobby kind of came to the rescue because I was so tired when we were set to record this morning, but I thought it was a good topic. It was kind of fun to give you guys a peek inside of what life is like, you know, for me as a parent growing an online business. And I encourage you, if you are a parent, having a side hustle is so great. Just having that extra money, you know, for whatever, whether it's to pay bills or to go on a great vacation, however you want to use it, it's so nice and it takes so much stress away, you know, as a parent, just having those little bit of extra funds for whatever it is that you want to do, even if it's just saving for your kids' college, saving for retirement, you know, it doesn't have to be something right now. So give it a try. If you're looking for a great side hustle, we highly recommend our Facebook side hustle course. We believe it is the most profitable side hustle that you can do in 2019. And you can find out more about it by checking the link in the description. And that's it for today. Please do me a favor, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you never miss an episode. We've got new episodes every Tuesday. And if there's anything in particular that you would like to see us talk about here on the Laptop Empires channel, please let me know in the comments and we'll be sure to make a video out of it. Thanks.